Okay. Welcome to Jaden and Michelle. And I was just beginning to share with Jaden, and he goes, press the button.
Hit record,
Okay.
hit record.
Hit record. This is going to be good. So I was talking about working with a client today and some of the really cool things that have shown up. And, Jaden, you do secured agreements and, the different agreements that keep us bound and, all that stuff. And we were circling and circling and circling. And she says, it's like I've given up my freedom. And I'm like, oh my God, it's the non-sovereignty agreements that are so secured and all the little pieces and parts and particles that go with it. And so as we were going through, it's like all of the ways that we've given up ourselves to love, all of the ways that we have given access to people to drain our energy, suck us dry, eventually kill us because we have no energy left over. All of the ways that we give up our sovereignty and freedom for, government programs or social programs or, programs with our churches or, even the ways with boyfriends, girlfriends, spouses, and especially families. And all of those non-sovereignty agreements that force us or compel us to compel is a better word, compel us to give up and even sacrifice ourselves to take care of family, or friends, or even clients. It was it was like, holy mackerel, the implications and consequences of this and how our generations, the linear generational agreements, or even some of the non-linear generational agreements have bound us into these non-sovereign agreements and how binding they are. And like I said, you do these secured agreements. And at first it was like, well, isn't this just a form of a secured agreement? And I heard no, because it's binding the soul, it's binding the expanded being in some way to a paradigm that isn't to body, being, planet, universe, expansiveness, expressing in a really cool way.
Right. So how did you clear it or change it?
I'm all for easy. I just called it clearing the sovereignty, non-sovereignty agreements.
There you go. Yeah. Nice.
But what was even cooler is what happens to the physical body when we clear these and the upgrades that have to be made in the physiology in order to allow that expanded being a home in a way that it can hold more consciousness, awareness, beingness. I used to say the word light. That's got a lot of to it in a lot of ways. But what came in was a way to upgrade body and being with that quantum, with what I heard was quantum computing, quantum creation codes, and feeling the shift in my body because you can't hack a quantum computer.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And if you are running a quantum computing, quantum creation paradigm in your physiology, you can't be hacked, but you can hack any other computer or any other system because and that's what they're using quantum computing for, is to hack other types of computing systems. And it's like,
simply because it can process so much faster than
massive amounts of data.
Yeah.
And it needs a new and the other piece that came in was the operating system that needed to be upgraded in every aspect of who we are in order to allow and maintain that new level. And it was interesting because I've done upgrades in, body and being with different forms of like for lack of better terminology, it's like going from that old aluminum system and the dial-up computer system to fiber optics
Yeah.
and changing out master control panels and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
And this was like, oh no, this is a completely different.
The cool thing about that is that often I'd grab things by topical categories. So it's like I can go into the different categories and find the non-sovereignty components in that. But I like just kind of calling things up by that frequency. What are all the non-sovereignty agreements that you have? That's really sweet. I like that. Because it's
cool.
like this reality at every turn keeps inviting you into non-sovereignty. Like, matter of fact, right from get-go, they set it up where you're in a frame where you don't believe that sovereignty even exists.
What is that?
Yeah, sovereignty. What are you talking about? Like, it's totally foreign. And it's, you have to learn sovereignty and then fight to get your sovereignty. Interesting way of handling it. But it's like, what if we could grab and clear all the places where we have sovereignty? So what are all the places remaining where we have non-sovereignty agreements in place?
Whoa.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. And can we put all those in the pile?
Yes, I choose that.
Yeah, I choose that. Encapsulate everything down below, back behind, up above, way up front, left, right, inside, outside. And can we just try and create all those non-sovereignty agreements?
Yes, I choose
that.
that.
Yeah, I choose that. Boo! And resend, revoke, recant, reclaim, renounce, denounce. Just trying to create null, void, null, void, null, void, null, void. Wow. Oh, vaporize.
Flash burn out of existence, so it never existed ever. Well, wow. and in the US anyway, the buzzwords are fighting for freedom, fighting, which but we've in many ways equated sovereignty with freedom, and they're not the same. They're absolutely not the same. Freedom comes from being a sovereign being. Freedom of emotional, mental, physical, spiritual, financial freedom comes from as an effect of being a sovereign being, and it has nothing to do with country. It has nothing to do with planet or anything else. It's that sovereignty unto oneself and one's beingness as a creator being. And so everywhere and I felt that drop in for some of our listeners in a way that it didn't before. So what are all the ways that we have equated sovereignty and freedom, and what are some of the other words around that? Where's my thesaurus when I need it?
Time for the thesaurus.
I know, it's my favorite tool in the universe. Don't ever get rid of that.
So like there's control, the whole like being controlled. There's elements around that.
Yes, absolutely.
Because if you're sovereign, there is no control. Like, you're beyond control.
Right.
Like, control just isn't a thing.
Right. And there's no need for control. It's like having your own. I don't even like this word either. It's an ascendant. Well, the one that came up first was supremacy, but that has a lot of really ugly. But it's that. To me, it's that creator being. I really don't have the right words for it, I guess.
The right words for
what sovereignty actually expresses.
Oh,
the
got it.
essence of sovereignty.
Got it. I see. Yeah. I'd have to, again, go to the thesaurus and grab that. What's interesting is this reality, has it flipped around where it's not even natural for you. When you're a kid, you have a sense of sovereignty.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I should be able to do this. I should be able to go here. I should be able to take this. Like it's my sovereign right to just have control over my body and control over my actions. And it's like, that's a natural expression that we get deprogrammed. Like in the older times, you used to be like, when you're with your family, okay, you're under their rules, but when you're going out to play, you're kind of sovereign.
Yeah.
You're in that sovereign space and you're out playing and you're doing whatever you want to do. Now there's so many controls. You're not allowed to do this. This is not safe. This is not whatever. Like, there's all those external controls where it used to be just, you'd go out in the woods, you'd go run around, you'd go do it. Like, it's your place. It's your sovereign space.
Be home by dark.
Just be home by dark. Right.
Right.
Yeah. Nowadays, you got to wear the bicycle helmet. You got to do this. There's these rules, limitations, regulations that have crept in and consistently constrained the reality. Ooh. What would your life be like if you had no constraints on your sovereignty and received to your advantage?
And received to your advantage, to your local advantage.
Wow. And what sovereign expression is seeking to occur and receive? And what are future versions of you that have always been sovereign? So we're scanning different time streams, different realities. What are other realities, versions of you that have always been sovereign? And allow yourself to connect to those. And what is everything they know that would allow you? What's the most direct route to get from where you are now to where they are, to your local advantage? And receive. Wow. And what would you be and do if you were fully sovereign and receive to your advantage?
That's cool.
Yeah. It's like, sometimes the easiest way to do it is just to download that energy. Yeah. Which is what you do with people. It's just download the energy. It's like, just bring it in and then you can embody it. The words get kind of, but yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes the words even limit the expression of it or the receiving of it. So yeah.
Yep.
And sometimes words are really important too, because they hold a very specific resonance and frequency.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So.
And what else is now possible?
Yeah. Receive. Wow. That feels good. Mm-hmm. So what, as a sovereign being, how can we become more aware, more conscious, more fully expressed? What does that, and receive.
Yeah, what does that look like?
Yeah. And the reason I ask that is there's, when we were talking about topics before this, one of them was, how do you become aware? How do you become, what is awareness and how do you become it? And, some people call it more conscious. And again, that's pretty loaded, but it's that awareness, that beingness, that essence, the pure essence of you. How do you become that? Because you can't, in my estimation, you can't be fully aware if you don't have some level of sovereignty. And what is standing in the way of that sovereignty is also what prevents awareness and that
Yeah.
that expansiveness as our creator beings.
Yeah. Well, it's like we always, I don't, what's interesting is one of the things that I found is this reality needs to bind you through agreement. And it's like,
Yes.
well, what is that? Like there's something here in the authentic universe
Mhm.
that is a restriction around your natural sovereignty. Like you can't impose on people sovereignty.
No.
They can agree to give up their sovereignty for whatever reason they choose, but you can't take it away from people.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like what I found is that no matter how locked, at the most locked down space I have ever been, and I have been locked down to the max in every way I can imagine. It's like, that's how we learn how to clear clients, right? It's
right?
like from personal experience, though, like, I knew that one. Like, how did I get out of that? Okay, that's how I got. So let me help you to get out of that. And it's like having been locked down, you realize you find that one little space of sovereignty that you have. And how do I use that? Okay, yeah. I expand that. Now, how else can I use that? And how else can I use that? So for me, it's about becoming aware, is finding the sovereignty that you do have and expanding that sovereignty bigger. And then once you get a space where you feel like you're sovereign, but you're not fully there, but you don't know what it is yet. It's like, that's when you start hunting for, okay, what is everything that's currently limiting my full sovereignty?
Yeah.
And that's when you start scanning for and looking for, okay, what else is going on? What else has been hidden? What else has been installed? And that's kind of the game that we play, is like, how can we get rid of all of those pieces of that?
So when you said that, what I really felt are all of the installation programs and how do I want to say this? It's like how they have been installed generationally and are running through the DNA and the RNA, as well as actual installation programs being in the installation of those programs in our conscious mind that prevent waking up. And what was fascinating, so this weekend, speaking of awareness and consciousness, so I have a sleeping device that I need to use to breathe, CPAP machine. And in all the years, almost 20 years, I have never, ever forgotten to take it somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I went somewhere this weekend and completely left it home.
Yeah.
And it was like,
and you're alive today to talk about it.
I know.
Imagine that.
Surprise. Now, I did wake up with a headache the next day. But what was fascinating is, I could feel something in my brain that didn't belong there. And I'm like, and this is part of what emerged, was this sovereignty thing. And also the awareness of how we get so locked out of our lives and out of what we need to do and be and have in order to be super healthy, or and to really be at our optimal functioning. And so what is everything that is preventing that awareness? Because I'm like
So what is everything that prevents us from perceiving what our optimal expression is, or our optimal capacities, or our optimal state? Because it's like sovereignty is the natural freedom, but it's like, if you had that natural freedom back, the next question is, well, how do I get back to my highest space or my optimal functioning, or my body's ideal expression? And
and And there's something about that awareness piece, though, especially as more and more people are awakening, coming online, coming into a consciousness that they're more than what they have been programmed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And so everything, I really would love to explore that a lot in conjunction with this sovereignty discussion, because it feels like as more and more people really step into the awareness, the consciousness, the essence of their, I call it creator beingness, the all that they are possible and capable of being. What does that look like from a practical level, and what does it look like from an energetic level, and kind of again, I hate this word, the spiritual level.
Mm-hmm.
I almost can't say that with a straight face.
Yeah.
What does it look like to be an optimally essenced being?
And receive. What does it look like for you personally?
Yeah, because you have a different template than I have a different template.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone has their own unique template,
Mm-hmm.
and to have a generic template out there is limiting.
Yeah.
And so what came to mind earlier today was also, as an optimally functioning being, what rights and responsibilities, not in a heavy way, but what rights and responsibilities do you have to function and perform and do what you need to do to stay clear and aware and conscious and, in that state of emotional, mental, physical, spiritual, financial freedom every single day, so that you show up in that incredible essence.
Yeah, I don't like responsibility is an overlay. It's like
it's not the right word.
It's like you're looking for, because it's a choice.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but we haven't had the choice.
Mm-mm.
And it's like, as you allow yourself to get clear, as you clear all this crap, you find more choice, and the question becomes, now what?
The word that comes to mind is the authority. What authority is naturally yours?
Yeah.
That's a better word than responsibility.
I like that word. Yeah.
So that you have, and this might not be the right word either, an onus to function and perform and begin to and continually, play that inner game of how much better can this get? How much more can I be?
Well, I think what's interesting is I go back to this concept of, what if who you are at your essence is an infinite being?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're an infinite being who has infinite access to all that is known and all that is, and can do pretty much anything you choose to do,
mm-hmm.
when you come, like, there is no limitation.
Yes.
So it's like, what this reality provides is an experience of limitation.
Yes, it does.
It does a really good job of that.
Brilliant job.
Really good job. They top drawer on that. But it's
epic way.
So part of it is, like, you talk about the authority, and why I don't like some of the other words is because it is an exploration.
Yes.
Like, what if, as an infinite being, like, it was really cool. I have to say, looking back, when I get neutral about things, there are a lot of explorations that I did that seemed like they sucked at the time, but I look at them now from my infinite being standpoint. I'm like, that was really cool. It's that question, if I could change it, and I know I can, would I change it? Would I eliminate the things that occurred in my past? And while I might tweak them, there's some things that were like, wow. And so when it comes to now, it's not so much for me about what responsibility or even what authority I have. It's like I have the authority and I have the sovereignty to do whatever I want. And I've been in limitation now, immersed in it in this reality. And my goal has been to, how can I express myself in this reality beyond limitation?
I like that. And receive.
And receive.
How can I express myself beyond limitation?
So it's like that it isn't like a job I have to do. It's a choice I can make about what would I most like to have from the infinite buffet of things that I can explore or sample. And that's where I do like the word authority, because so much of the limitation in this reality comes from a place of you don't have the authority to do that.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh,
really?
As a sovereign being, interesting point of view. Yeah. So it's like, it's bumping into now what would I like to explore in my journey back out of limitation, and how can I get rid of the stuff, step back into my authority and step back into my sovereignty and eliminate all of those illusions of non-sovereignty.
Yeah. And so what are all the ways that we have played in that illusion of non-sovereignty? There's a bucket full or two.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, I see them differently when I'm in a clear space.
I know, right?
Yeah, it's like, whoa, look at all that.
Damn. Yeah.
When I'm not in the clear space, it's like,
just hit me over the head again.
Yeah,
right.
So what are all the places of non-sovereignty, and what was the phrase you said?
All of the ways that, what did I say? Sure, ask the tough questions. What are all of the ways?
Well, just everything that's upper active that we can clear. Right. Let's put all that in the pile.
Yeah.
Wow. And everything from down below, back behind.
The illusion of non-sovereignty.
The illusion of non-sovereignty. Yeah. Wow. And so what are all the illusions that we're in around non-sovereignty?
Whoa.
Wow. And can we put all those in the pile?
Yes, I choose that.
Yeah, I choose that. Wow. And everything from down below, back behind, up above, way out front, left, right, inside, outside, everything remaining all in the pile. Bodies let that go. None of those are yours. Never was yours.
Never was yours.
Wow. And can we shrink all that stuff down to listen?
Yes, I choose that.
And destroy and create it. Yeah.
Yes, destroy it. Clear. Purify and sterilize it out of existence.
Wow. Null and void, 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 null and void.
Whoa.
Wow. And what are all the ways that we can not only step into our own sovereignty, but also invite our clients into stepping into more of their sovereignty?
Love that question, and receive.
Yeah. Because that really is the dance. Like when you're working with a client, you're scanning for, okay, what are all the limitations that they're currently in? Some of them are prepackaged deals that you're like, yeah, it's just that. Just, there's the false light thing, just let that go. There's this thing, just let that go. But some of them are custom.
Oh yeah.
And those are the fun ones, actually. It's like, oh, how did they do that? That's really fascinating. Let's look at that. Let's look at that. And I have to sometimes stop myself because I'll geek out on how the client has created limitation in their reality in a way I've never seen it before. It's like, wow, that's really cool. And they're like, can we clear that, please? I'm like, oh, yeah. Okay.
I was just interested in how twisty that had gotten and,
that
and
is
how perfectly knotted that was.
Yeah, that is so amazing how you did. And
Damn.
it's interesting. It is another perspective in that it's like you, as you get to a space outside of this, you do start to look at those constructs and go, that's brilliant. That's absolutely fucking amazing. Like, I would have never thought of that. Like, gosh, who came up with that? And you can start geeking out and finding the beings that considered that, or how that person created that in their own reality. But it's everything that is, everything that's up for active.
And all that actually brought up. Thanks so much. Let's choose to destroy and uncreate all of that.
I choose that.
I choose that now. Thanks. Excuse me.
Null and void, null and void, null and void, null and void, null. And that actually is what caused me to get out of the, it's easy to get into perspective of, I'm a poor victim here, and there's these big bad guys, you know, all the bad archons and the bad aliens who are manipulating this reality. It's not that they're not.
Because they are.
Not that, because they are. It's that they're not big and bad. I mean, they may be bad, but they're not big. They're not bigger than you. Let's put it that way.
Right.
And when you
and they're not more powerful than you.
And they're totally, I mean, they're pathetic in a big way. They're great illusionists. That's about it. They're great illusionists. And as long as you buy their illusion of power, then you're like, oh, great archon, can I get free?
Please, okay, I'm praying to you now.
Yes. But it's like, if once you see it, you recognize, wow, that was actually a brilliant illusion.
Yeah.
Like, that was like, it had me totally bought into that limitation, because I fit myself into that box. As an infinite being, I can crawl into any shape.
Right, exactly. It's like looking at that little teeny tiny tree lizard behind the big screen, and suddenly it looks like Godzilla, you know, and it's like, destroying cities.
Yeah.
And
that's what movies do. And that's what movies do. They play in the illusion, the capacity for illusion that they have to get you to buy into this altered reality. And it's the same thing this reality does.
So going there for just a minute, what are all of the ways that we have bought into, sucked into, been manipulated into to thinking that these altered realities are so big and so strong that we are so powerless, and everything that is.
Wow.
That's huge.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean,
can we put all that in the pile?
Yes, please. I choose that. Out.
Wow. Encapsulate. And everything from down below, back behind, up above, way out front, left, right, inside, outside, everything remain. All in the pile, on the pile.
Wow.
And bodies let that go. Not you, not yours, not you, not yours, not you, not yours.
Planet, not you. Planet, not yours.
Not yours, not yeah.
Never was.
Planet. Never was yours. Never was yours. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. And can we shrink all that stuff down to less than nothing?
Yes, I choose that.
I choose that. And incinerator. And I want to. It's dawned on me a couple times, but I've never taken action on it. It's like we've worked to get beyond a lot of the blankets of energy fog and stuff that prevents you from seeing this, but not everybody's necessarily there. So let's do clearing on that. So what is all the unknowable, unspeakable, unseeable, untouchable, undetectable, unconsciousness, anti-consciousness, energy fog, disinformation cloaking, Wernicke's command, booby traps, covert, unseen, unacknowledged, undisclosed energies and frequencies around all this?
Wow.
Whoa, can we put all that in the pile?
Yes, I choose that.
Yeah, I choose it. Do you have words that you use for that?
I do. I've adopted some of yours. What's everything hidden, hiding, buried, covered up, masquerading, disguised, left behind, forgotten, ignored, or denied? All the misinformation, disinformation, all of the time bombs and booby traps, all of the Wernicke's commands and codes, and all of the other like commands and codes that bind us down.
Cool. And all that in the pile. And everything from down below, back behind, up above, way up front, left, right, inside, outside, everything remaining. And bodies let that go, not you, not yours, never was yours, never was yours, never was yours. Let it go, let it go, let it go.
Let it go, let it go, let it go.
Let it go. And can we shrink all that down to less than nothing?
Yes, I choose
I choose that.
Flash burn, purify, and sterilize it out of existence so it never existed ever.
No void, no void, no void.
Percent camera now.
Nice.
Oh, so much better. Indeed. Whew. So, as beings who are, I'm not sure the right words to say this, who are aware, who are becoming more aware, who are choosing greater awareness, what, for me, I have a daily practice, and you have a daily practice. So what are some of the things that conscious, aware, evolving creator beings, what are some of the things, that we do? I mean, we talk about meditation, which in many cases, if you're listening to guided meditations, has a lot of interference and manipulation.
Yeah.
And so what are some of the things that you do? You've got your
the back to me,
that process. I've adopted a lot of that as well, as well as my quantum cell clearing process. And I don't do guided meditations anymore because I just don't trust technologies. I don't, unless I know what's, and I'm listening to my inner authorities these days. It's just like, because there's so much in this industry that is just flat out contaminated. And, and it's been hijacked. And many of the people who, whose work is out there, they don't know that. They don't know that. And that's, it's one of the reasons I walked away for a long time from the telesummit industry. And it's like, so, how do I, anyway, that's a whole different subject in some ways, but what are some of the things that you can recommend that people do every single day?
Well, for me, it's not necessarily a formula per se, although I give my students the back to me, which is a collection of things that I've found that work for me and my students in getting back to conscious and resolving fractures. But it's like, when to answer your question directly for a bigger audience, it's like, what are the practices or the tools that you can use that take you to a space of being clear and feeling like, I'm me. I'm a sovereign being outside of the illusions of non-sovereignty. It's like, what clearings can you do, or what process can you do that takes you to an authentic, genuine, clear, strong space, and do those, whatever that is. That's how I started it, was just recognizing that. And in the beginning, it was as simple as clearing entities. And then it's like, once I got good at that, the interference in my reality decided, okay, that's not working. What else can we use? We'll use this. Great. Okay. And then I learned, well, I could expand and expand into my infinite being. And that just it created everything. It just expanded everything. It's like, woohoo, that worked. And then the interference is like, okay, well, we need something different. What else can we do? And basically, I've just charted what are all the different ways that interference manipulates my reality. And it seems to do the same patterns for other people too. So it's like, what are the patterns that cause you to get limited in your reality? And set up a clearing process and I don't necessarily do all the clearings. I just do the ones that feel light. Which ones, I'll scan my list and go, okay, which ones are active right now? Those. Okay, I'll do those clearings. And I know, like, I'm going to keep going until I feel strong and powerful and back to me and ready to start my day. So that's
but somebody who's just starting out, because for the longest time, well, for there have been periods in my life where I didn't realize how off I really was.
Oh yeah.
And I teach this.
I know. Yeah.
It's like, oh,
yeah.
dang.
Yeah.
So how does a person recognize, especially when they're starting out, when they're on and when they're off, when they're being manipulated, when they're not being manipulated?
And what do you notice?
For me now, I can tell when I'm being manipulated when my body hurts. I can tell when I am cranky and ornery.
Yep.
I can tell when I'm feeling helpless or hopeless, or just it's like my mind can't think properly. It's like I'm just it's an off feeling, and I can tell that I am not solidly in my body.
Yes.
My body isn't happy, and for the most part, it feels more like a background noise or frequency. That sounds weird, but it's something kind of running in the background that doesn't feel right. But that's what I notice. And what about you?
Yeah. I would say the same, and like it's a cornucopia of all. It's like everything that doesn't feel good. Like if you're pretty much, I got to the place where if my question to myself is, do I feel really good? And if the answer is no, I'm in something. Because what if who you are is an infinite being? When you're clear, you just feel really good.
Right.
And you do. That's been my gauge of ever since Gary Douglas invited me. It's like, what if feeling good is a choice? And that rocked my world at first. And then the more I explored that, it's like, well, that's my native state of being, is feeling good. So it's like, what if feeling, anytime you're not feeling really good, it's not you. There's some interference, there's some manipulation going on there. And what is it, and what can you do to get back to feeling really good again?
I love that.
And people don't, it's funny when I talk about it, I thought that, feeling good is like something everybody will want. It's like I put out a program around feeling good, and like nobody even took the free program. Like 2 people took it. And the program of like digging out of the hellhole of your existence, like millions of people will grab that. It's like nobody wants to look at for whatever. I don't get it. Like I'd be like, woohoo, feeling good. Let's go. Let's see what their point of view is on that. It's like, but what if you could make that as your choice or your indicator of how clear you are? And yes, you can be feeling good and be not you. And yes, you can be feeling good and be altered. But as far as I'm concerned, my interesting point of view, as long as it's still feeling good, whatever. Like if it's working for you, ride it, but be aware. Like, okay, I'm feeling really good and there's something else here. Okay, well, I'm going to track that. Or if I notice something else, I'm just going to clear it. Now, there are sometimes where I'll clear it and then I feel less good. It's like, well, that's interesting. And I start to explore that. But it's like, what is everything in the way of you just feeling good?
And receive.
Whew. Oh.
Wow. That's more than I thought.
Yeah. And everything that is, can we put that in the pile?
Yes, I choose that.
Yeah, I choose that. Wow. And everything from down below, back behind, up above, way out front, left, right, inside, outside, everything remaining. Wow. And bodies, let that go, not you, not yours, never was yours, never was yours. Planet, let that go, not you, not yours, never was yours. Let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go.
Let it go.
Oh, wow. And can we shrink all that stuff down to less than nothing?
Yes, I choose that.
Yeah, I choose that. Boo. And incinerate.
Purify and sterilize it.
And what I found is like, the whole feeling good thing, like I couldn't understand, why do people like not even bite at that? And it's like, it's a more advanced thing. Like if your whole life is a train wreck, feeling good is like so utopian that it's like, okay, get out of here. Give me a
That's
break.
little teeny
Like,
light at the very, 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 very end of the tunnel, and it's way
like,
far away.
go away. But it's like for people who are at the place that we're at, and for people who are facilitating others, it's more like it's a question or conversation that we should be, or what if it's something that benefits us to be in? Like, how can we get to a space of feeling good? Like, you can invite your clients into that as a that's where you're headed. But often they won't resonate with it, which blew my mind.
It blew mine too, because death and destruction and dismemberment was a huge seller. I'm like, wait, you don't want to feel good?
We're also
happy?
We're also conditioned by reality where news sells. Death, destruction, suffering sells.
Yeah.
It's clickbait. Like, that gets your attention where, hey, what are 20 ways to feel really good? It's like, yeah, okay, whatever. Some of it is, it's going to be bullshit.
Yeah.
A lot of it is, bullshit. But it's like when what I notice for me is that's where I'm at now. That's how I fine tune my reality. And that's how I honestly check, like, whether I need to clear or not. Like, I do it in the morning to get back to a space of feeling good. And then I kind of scan during the day when I'm not feeling good. And that only works if you use what we're talking about of every day, starting your day feeling good. Right. What most people do is they'll clear, like, I notice my clients, well, I'll ask them, when was the last time you cleared? Well, last week on our session. Oh, okay. Serious? Okay.
I know, right?
Like, what? I give you all these tools and I encourage you to use them, and I teach you how to use them for what?
Exactly. Why are you not using these? You brush your teeth every day and you shower every day. Why are you not doing your spiritual hygiene? For the love of God, do something for yourself.
For the love of self, do something for yourself.
Right.
Yeah. It's like that change for me was a pivotal change in my life, where I crossed that line of, like, wait a minute, instead of, because I noticed once the shit piled on, I wasn't going to feel good under any circumstances. No. And it was just a matter of how bad did I feel, and at how bad a feeling did I actually start to dig out again.
Well, and to add to that, at what point does it become so huge that it's like, I just want out of here.
You just give up.
And you give up. And that's, I think both you and I are trying to change that paradigm. So it's like, if you just do it in little increments, again, it's like taking a shower. You don't get embedded grease and dirt stuck into, the very pores of your being. And then, it's right. It's just like, oh, it just washes off. It's all just, and it's gone.
Yeah. So it's staying clear versus getting clear.
Right.
So, I mean, while I'll wake up in the morning and I need to get clear again because there's whatever happened overnight, but it's like and I still work to, like, how can I wake up in the morning clear? Like, even look to clear what's going on at night in your reality.
But that. I'm just so frustrated with that paradigm. What the hell is that?
It's a matter of finding what are all the manipulations. Like, how much of the dreams that you're having your dreams, how much are they someone else's dreams, how much are they something else's dreams? And
everything that is, can we choose to destroy and uncreate all of that?
Yeah, I choose that.
Yes, I choose that. Yeah, all the ways that our sovereignty is being hijacked during.
So it's looking at and questioning, like, before you go to bed, intending that you wake up being clear and in a good feeling space, and then just really paying attention to what did you go to bed with. Like, I have to clear before I go to bed. I do. Because I'll take, like, if I watch if I watch any movie, some of the weirder movies, I watched a movie, I don't remember the name of it, but it was one of those light and happy synthetic reality kind of movies where at the end everybody's really good, and it's kind of kids movie. And I went to bed feeling really good in that synthetic kind of way, and then woke up feeling like shit. And it's like, okay, we need to clear that too. Because while it felt good in a synthetic way overnight, it did stuff. So a lot of it for me is I take a shower when I wake up in the morning. I take a shower at night, and in the shower is where I have posted all of my little charts for clearing.
And you can go to jaden-fox.com for those.
Because it's like that's where I do it. It's like it's the same cleansing kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's the same way I take care of my body. I take care of my being and my body at the same time.
Yeah.
So before I go to bed, I clear. That helps a lot.
It does. And, I have been asked this question, I would say at least a dozen times this last week. And I don't have a great answer for it, except just keep clearing. But the question is, and all that this is going to bring up, does it ever stop? Is there ever a time when it just stops? And I'm like, fuck, if I hear that question one more time, I'm going to shoot something.
Yeah. And I've explored that, well, for a long time. Long time. And the answer is yes, no.
It gets less. My experience has been that it's gotten less, but.
So what I notice is the yes part. The no is easy. Like we can find a lot of ways that the no. Mm-hmm. What's interesting is the yes, it does stop if you don't expand beyond the space you've cleared and maintained. Okay. So that's the fuck with you that I notice that people will have. It's like, oh, I got to clear all the time. I shouldn't have to clear. Well, if you stop expanding, like if you clear it,
you quit growing, for heaven's sake.
You it's kind of like you fence off an area and then you clear that area. And as long as you're willing to stay in that area and do a little bit of maintenance, it stays clear. Mm-hmm. Like, because you're kind of scanning. Exactly. So, like, how much of that, the shit keeps coming back is not it coming back. It's you keep going out and conquering more territory and expanding into more space that has all this crap living in it. And you're like, ah. So it's like I notice anytime I call it going down a rabbit hole or going down a foxhole. It's like anytime I go into a new topic and dive in and do a deep dive and explore, yuck, right? Because I'm diving into a new territory that's just saturated with unconsciousness and crap, and it's almost like I'm going into someone else's reality. I'm expanding my sovereign space, my clear space, my defined protected space, bigger, and I'm conquering new territory. Yeah. And in that, yes, there is struggle and there's more stuff to clear and there's more stuff to defend and there's more stuff to banish and get rid of. But if you look at it as you're taking over more space, although people don't like the idea of conquering more space, but
I know I just had a reaction to that. Everything that is. What is that?
Well, what if who you are as an infinite being is seeking to get the space in which you live and occupy back to a clear space, and you just happen to occupy a lot of dimensions and a lot of realities and a lot of earths and a lot of multiple time frames,
which we do,
but if you're used to, you can stay in one space that you've defined and you've fenced off and you've said, this is my clear space, but that gets boring. It's interesting about that long, and then you're like, I want more. And then you go out there and you get more, and then you're like, ooh, there's more. Oh, there's more. Yuck. Okay, and you clear.
You just answered something that I have had a question about for probably a millennia or so. And that is, why do some people have no problem? They are not conscious. They're not aware. They go to work every day. They don't have problems with entities. Life is, they make, a decent living, and they live happily ever after. They live and they die in this perfect little bubble, and nothing generally bad happens. And those of us who are out there in the intrepid explorer, mining out time and space and figuring out, who we are. And it's one daily cluster after another. And it's because we are those expansive beings going where no man or woman has gone before, no being. And we are claiming, and in many ways reclaiming that space, whereas that other person doesn't want to expand. They don't care to. It's not part of who they are.
Yeah. So what I tell clients is, when you feel like, wow, I just need a break, don't go into new territories. Stay in your space. Like, you've already conquered. Stay on your side, right? It's like you've already created a clear space, and you already know how to defend that clear space. Yeah. Stay in what is comfortable, and allow yourself to regenerate, allow yourself to refresh, allow yourself to get back to feeling like you're caught up again. And then when you feel like, okay, I want to go conquer some new territory, that's when you go out and you explore more. That makes it a choice.
It does make it a choice. It does make it a choice. And that actually just clarified something so huge for me. Thank you. Thank you. And everything that brought up, can we choose to destroy and uncreate all of that?
What is all the unknowable, unspeakable, unseeable, untouchable, undetectable, unconsciousness, anti-consciousness, energy fog, disinformation, cloaking, Wernicke's commands, booby traps, covert, unseen, uneacknowledged, undisclosed energy and frequencies around all this? I agree with all that in the pile.
Yes, sir. I choose that.
Yes, I choose that.
Yes, on the planet.
Wow.
Yes. Wow.
And your list?
Which one? Sorry. Everything hidden, hiding, buried, covered up, masquerading, disguised, left behind, forgotten, ignored, or denied. All of the vows, contracts, commitments, agreements, addictions, alignments, alliances, loyalties, oaths, promises, covenants, vengeances, vendettas, secrets, magics, dark and black secrets we've taken consciously, subconsciously, unconsciously, anti-consciously, under manipulation, trickery, or deceit, out of a sense of doing the really right thing.
Wow. In the pile.
In the pile.
Well, encapsulating everything from down below for all that. Back behind, up above, way out front, from left and right, inside, outside, everything remaining, all in the pile. And body and planet, let that go. Not you, not yours, not you, not yours. Never was yours, never was yours. Let it go, let it go, let it go. Let it go. Ooh, wow.
That was cool.
And can we shrink all that stuff? Yeah, I'll say down to less than nothing.
Yes, I choose that.
I choose that. Resend, revoke, or can't reclaim, renounce, denounce, null, void, null, void, null, void, null, void, null, void.
Null and void, retroactively.
Resend, revoke, can't reclaim, vaporize, by null, void, null. Wow.
Nice.
So let's wrap up with some receiving around this. This is a really juicy topic.
It's super juicy.
Wow.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thanks.
Wow. So, what can we choose that would allow us to feel good in our reality and in our body more than we've ever had the capacity to choose before? And I didn't like that, but that's the concept. Receive?
Yeah. What are all of the ways that we can receive all feeling good, feeling better, feeling magnificent?
Yeah.
That we've never allowed before, or that we have not chosen before. Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. Cool. And receive.
And receive. Ooh, yeah.
Because for me, it was a choice to choose to feel good and to defend the space, not defend, to, when I don't, to notice it, monitor it. Am I feeling good? No. What can I clear that would get me back to feeling good? Clear. Do I feel good? Yeah. Cool.
So what's everything then, before and I'm going to ask this so that we can receive the opposite, but what's everything standing in the way of making that choice?
Ooh, wow. Yeah, let's put that in the pile.
Yeah.
And down below,
Ooh.
left behind, up above, way out front, left, right, inside, outside. Whew. And bodies, planet, let that go. Not you, not yours, not you. Never was yours, never was yours, never was yours. Let it go, let it go.
Wow.
And can we shrink all that down to less than nothing?
Yes, I choose that.
I choose that. Incinerate. Banish anguish, banish anguish, banish anguish.
And so now what are all of the ways, what are all of the choices, the juicy choices we can make to support our well-being and our expansiveness every day that serves us to our unique local advantage?
And receive.
And receive.
Wow. And what else can you choose that would allow you to feel good?
Oh, yeah.
Receive.
And receive.
And what other feeling good is now possible for you in your body? Receive to your advantage.
Receive to my local advantage.
And if feeling good was normal for you and a regular experience, what awareness would you be having? And receive.
And receive. I like that one.
Wow.
And if feeling good is natural and normal and expected, what other frequencies can you receive with grace? Nope. What other frequencies can you receive?
Can you receive?
Can you just receive?
And receive, yeah.
And receive. Wow.
Yeah, I noticed there's a pattern in receiving. I used to do that all the time.
Yeah.
I eventually figured out what was going on. When I'm receiving, I keep wanting to up the receiving.
Uh-huh.
And that can start to take it into false light, synthetic realities. So you'll normally go into words that are synthetic to start receiving bigger than. Yeah.
Dang it.
It took me years because I would feel really good and then I'd start receiving bigger and bigger and bigger. And then something would go weird and I'm like,
what?
Crap, what happened there?
Yeah.
And then there's synthetic frequencies going on. It's like, okay, so it's the false. You can go above your natural range. You keep wanting more and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Yeah.
I loved that topic of conversation about our natural ranges, and we should probably talk about that in another episode.
Cool. Yeah, cool. We shall. And so we shall.
So any last receiving?
And what else is possible?
What else is possible and receive?
And what else is possible? And
receive.
That's actually the way I've gotten into now. It's like when I want more, I just go into what else is possible because it's like, it's outside of the named, limited, confined, or worded thing. It's just what else is waiting to be received that I haven't received yet. And receive.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be named at all.
Nope.
So I want to invite, if you guys have a topic of discussion you'd like us to talk about, just email us.
Let us know.
Michelle at quantumsoulclearing.com and Jaden at
Jaden-fox.com.
Okay. Yeah, let us know. And we will go beyond perception with you.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yay.
Thank you so much for listening,
Thank you.
guys. All right. Have a great day.
Bye.
Till next time. Bye-bye.